Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to another episode of Moonbreaker. In today's video we're going to be looking at just a little bit of what I do to give you an idea of how I sort of test lists if I'm going to be thinking of taking them into PvP. And what I want to do is show you my idea for an Astra Immobilized list. So, what I've got here is I've started out with Astra, so we obviously know Astra is being reworked and it's been changed so that refreshing abilities is now part of the case. And if you didn't know already, abilities includes movement and attacking, so you can do that multiple times. I wanted to see if I can build a little bit of a list around it, but I've also thrown in a few sort of spicier ideas as well. So the main combo I want to try out is Switchback. So what you can do is if you get 5 leadership to deploy first of all, you can play Switchback. If you use a Cinder Orb turn 1, and it's in a position where you can deploy onto it the second turn, on that turn you can move a Switchback, switch it up, get your attack in for 6 damage, move Astra to touch Switchback, refresh abilities using Into the Breach, and then attack for another 6 damage, potentially 12 early on. So that's going to be used most of the time, I imagine, to clear out enemy units, but occasionally it will be used to just go straight onto the captain as well. Now, while that's a game plan in itself, I wanted to go for something a little bit more niche for the rest of the list, and I've gone for an immobilized theme. So we've gone for Turncoat, and as you know, Turncoat can immobilize things and also gain control of things if it stays near enough. We've got Jailbreak that immobilizes touching units, and we've also got Snareling that immobilizes as well. And what better thing to pair with any of those than Crosshair, who deals crit damage if her target didn't move last turn. So that's always a good little combo there. Now, to make up for this, I think I really want to try and play off of Turncoat, but we also need some Cinder as well to use the abilities. So we've got Crankbait to help pull things into position. We've got Chuck and Co as sort of a front line, but also to toss things into position as well. We've got Savria here to protect, probably Turncoat, but whatever we need to at the time. And then we've got Fate Twister Tantan here as well. So that's just to also protect things, to make something guaranteed to miss, or we can potentially make our Switchback guaranteed to hit if we need to. Lastly, I've put Hit and Run in here because Hit and Run has been changed to 3 leadership instead of 4, and I think it's an awesome unit, and I wanted to try it out. So when I do these sort of lists, what I tend to do is just jump into an AI game and just have a look and see how the interactions work, so that's what I want to show you now. If you like the video and you like the content, please do hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and let me know in the comments how you go about your list building, and then we'll figure out what the best method is between us, I suppose, from there. Now, in this list, one thing I haven't done is looked at too much of what my curve is going to be, because largely I've tried to pick units that... Ooh, this is a new intro screen. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, that's a really cool new intro screen. But I haven't tried to pick too much of my curve out because I more just want to test what works and then figure out how to amend the curve, as in sort of the cost of the units to match what I can play either. But I have tried to put in a few 2-drops so that I've got turns where I can play a 2-drop that turn, and then the following turn I can go and play a 4-drop to sort of go in that front as well. Oh, okay, this is so much clearer. This is an awesome intro, and that zoom out of the map actually looks pretty good as well. That's so cool, I really like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go for an easy start. I'm going to deploy Switchback, as we know we're probably going to anyway. We'll grow some Cinder over here, somewhere relatively safe, and we have actually got an attack. It's not a good attack, but we might as well take it and pass the turn. Now the interesting thing here is what our opponent does, because there is a reasonable chance that we can just go for the full damage here. Okay, so I do think that we probably have to just... Okay, so how far can Astra move? Only up to here. So I think our game plan here is actually to try and kill both of these. Okay, they've just regained their Cinder, which is fine by me, but probably not what they were hoping to do. So if we move here, we just switch it up first. I actually think we just move as close as possible on this direction, maybe try and steal that objective. And we'll just take this out first. I think getting additional Cinder is probably useful, but we kind of just want to protect things. So I'm going to go with Savria here. Pop Savria down on that. Gain our 2 Cinder. We'll Into the Breach here. And again, we can just move forward at this point. Take out Talali, which presents the most damage with an almost guaranteed hit. Go for just a random hit there. And there we go. So this is my general plan, but obviously your opponent won't usually deploy this aggressively. So what I'm trying to think about in the same time is where they're going to deploy. It's probably back here or back here, which means our Switchback plan doesn't necessarily work that turn. However, we've actually got a really interesting sort of follow-up turn, depending on what they deploy here as well, because there's a reasonable chance that we can actually just clear out even more of their units. So, what do they play? Is the big question. Okay, so with them playing a Rickety, we've got access to 3 Cinder here, not 4 though, so we can't do everything we want to. So I think the game plan here has to be still just to switch it up, to take out Rickety, because Rickety obviously presents the most damage. We'll pop over here, and I think Severia's going to come in and hit Deadeye. Astra can do pretty much the same. But now, because we've got 4 Cinder, we can deploy something bigger if we want to. And I kind of like the idea of the Turncoat pickup. So I'm going to actually deploy Turncoat over here. And then there's no reason not to deploy another Cinder Orb. So this is kind of how I was hoping my list would work in terms of curve. Obviously the actual gameplay is going to be different because we're versus AI instead of versus a player. But this really does work out well. And I really do love that new intro. So the interesting thing here is, what do they deploy? Because if they deploy around here, we can start using our synergies here. We may even be able to get Severia in range to do that first. This is obviously going to die. Okay, so that's their own hit and run. The interesting thing with that is that we just steal that, which puts us in a position where we can just move up here and shoot Deadeye. Hopefully we hit that. We do, so that means Severia can come in and clear this up. Astra needs to be a bit safer here, so we need to just be out of range of that. Honestly, I don't think there's too much to worry about because we're going to be out of range of hit and run anyway, so we just go for that shot. We could potentially have gone for something else, but I think so with 3 leadership here, honestly, I think we're just going to go for something tough. So stick Crankbait down over here. And we may as well grow a Cinder in this direction just for next turn. We can also melee. In fact, if we move here, we can actually go back into the breach and just move back in melee again. So that was just some spare Cinder. We got 2 extra damage out of it. I think Astra has still got the most powerful abilities out of all of the captains. So we're going to get a free hit and run here, which is awesome. But yeah, this is my testing style. So here we've gone. You can see basically went for the 5-drop first. They went for a 2-drop into a 4-drop, then a 3-drop, and that's why I've filled up my roster with a few 3-drops. But I've got the option of going 2 drops into 4 drops as well. So that's sort of how I work out the maths on it. And I think that's absolutely, in my opinion, the right choice. So here we're just going to focus on clearing out the crews. There's no sense in worrying about any of this. Go for a hit here. What if we crankbaited Astra into range? Can we get Astra on top of... Okay, so I feel like we just need to go here first. If we crankbait Astra in, is there a way of getting it over there? I don't think there's going to be. No, we're a little short. So let's just move in. Actually, can we get in range there? No. That really does sound like... was it Pascal from... what's it called? Nier Automata. There we go. And we'll just pop this down. We've got that objective being taken. We'll pop another one on here. We're already holding that. Honestly, it sounds so much like it. I'm not even going to use my abilities here, because this is obviously going to be a game over from this point. We've got control of both objectives and the battlefield, but you can see how well it works switching between these different deployment styles. So next turn I'm going to play a Jailbreak, and the following turn I'm going to play a Crosshair, and then we've just got so much pressure on the battlefield. So depending on what they place here and how far we can move, there's a reasonable chance I just go for lethal here. So we'll switch it up, go for all this damage here. We'll move Turncoat down this way and hit. Okay, so we can't actually get everywhere we need to, but what if we move back slightly? In fact, if we move to, say, here, this could work. Okay, it doesn't look like it's quite a big enough gap. So what if we move this over here? So this is interesting, because I think we need to figure out how to make space here. So I'm just going to try just messing around with things and just see what we can do. So neither of these quite get us where we want to. So let's just bring hit and run in over here. Go for that hit. And hit and run away. Oh, we could always use our other hit and run. What else we got? Shield barrier goes into the breach. So we can into the breach something. I guess we just into the breach here. And just go back over this direction. Give that a little poke. And then we just pass the turn. So, all in all, this is how I think it works. I really did love that intro as well. That's like something I wasn't expecting to see, a new intro to the game. So really, really happy to see a bit of variety there. And hopefully we'll be able to see more sort of quality of life upgrades like that. I think this is a huge update that's going to be coming to the live server in the next few days. And obviously this is an AI game. The reason I'm not playing as many PvP games at the moment is because it's quite hard for me to find games specifically when I need to record. So finding content that I think is, useful to anyone that's wanting to know about the game is something I can do through AI games without having to spend significant periods of time queuing. The other day I posted in the Discord and I queued at the same time, and it was nearly 40 minutes and I didn't get a game. So this is just a way of being efficient until the new patch comes out and we get that little bit of an increase in player base. So all in all, that's how I build the list. I'm actually really keen to see how this works in future, but I might need to look at different openings because the switchback opening, as awesome as it is, doesn't necessarily have that guaranteed damage. You're quite at risk because if your opponent just hides away, chances are you're not going to be able to kill their units twice in turn one, and you're just going to start wasting Cinder. And I need to look at sort of more efficient ways of adjusting that curve. So that's what I'll be doing in the future. Hopefully this has been a bit of an insight for you guys as to how I choose to go about my list building, and it's been useful to you as well. And if it's something that you want to do, then by all means just play around yourself, see what works. But like I said, the main thing, work out what your initial plays are going to be, work out what your sort of turn cycles are going to look like. Personally, like I said, I think 2-drop into 4-drop is a really nice cycle because it gets still a reasonable amount of pressure onto the board when you're playing a 2-drop. If you're playing a 1-drop, it feels like you're missing out on a lot of tempo because you've got less leadership's worth of units on the battlefield at once. And then following up with a 4-drop is a really good sort of lunge, little little pulse of extra power on the battlefield there. And then whereas I think 1-drop into 5-drop sometimes feels like that 1-drop turn is just a bit ineffectual unless you've got a really good use for it. So that's a bit of the insight. That's what I do. Let me know if you do things differently. Obviously, we then need to go back and calculate the Cinder curve, calculate what abilities we want to use on which turns. We know what we want to do initially, but we need to know what we want to do from turns 2, 3, 4 onwards to make sure the list works in general. But I'd love to hear how you guys do it. I'd love to, for you guys to let me know in the comments if that's something that you even think about, or do you just put what you like in a list? And if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, support on the Patreon down below if you can do, it'd be really appreciated. But most importantly, thank you for watching and have a good day.